So, welcome back to Mansions of Madness. Now, we're going to be using two different characters for this one. We're going to be using Preston Fairmont, the millionaire. Not much in the way of sanity, but quite a bit in terms of physical toughness. And his special ability is that once per round, when I gain an item, I may flip a horror face down or discard a face down horror. So, yes, he can't take much psychological horror, but he can get rid of it. On the polar opposite end of the scale, we have Wendy Adams, the urchin. Not particularly physically strong, but quite mentally fortified, and she cannot become stunned or restrained. So, whilst these two are completely different characters, I think they complement their skills and lack thereof quite nicely. So, let's start a new game. Ooh, that's a lot of items. So, each investigator begins with 2 clues, and the sheer weight of items here doesn't give me much hope for our chances of survival, but we'll go find those. Okay, so we've assembled our items. So I think brass knuckles would roll 2 additional dice when attacking unarmed. Most likely Preston's going to be getting into the fight, so we'll give those to him. Elder Sign Pendant, roll an additional die when invading a monster. We'll stick that with Wendy Adams. She's not going to want to stick around for fights. Magnifying glass, roll an additional die when taking observation. Preston's lower observation, so it'll be more balanced for him to have it. Medical textbook, you or another investigator in range may discard 1 face down damage. Definitely give that to Wendy because she can't take that much. There is also a poison mist spell. Preston's law is only 2, whereas Wendy's is 3. So I think, and this will allow her to maybe attack her? No, that is a close range one. Okay, but at least she'll have something to defend herself with. And since we've got the 2 additional dice when rolling unarmed anyway, we'll balance it out that way. I think Wendy's going to be doing most of the running, so we'll give her the oil lamp so that she's not having to worry about darkness as much. And so we'll give the old journal to Preston. So we've given ourselves the tools that we'll hopefully need to survive, so let's see how we get on.
A strange feeling crawls across your skin as you step off the bus into the small Massachusetts town of Innsmouth. Everywhere you go, you can feel the gaze of the locals' unblinking, watery eyes on your back. In every alleyway, on every street corner, you can feel the presence of the stooped, pallid residents following you, watching from a distance. You came to the coastal town at the behest of Professor Harris, a mutual friend, who asked you to gather information on the lineage of the Marsh family. However, after only half a day walking the streets of Innsmouth, all you can think about is leaving the town and its unnerving residents far behind you. You check both the bus and the train, but strangely, both have stopped running. As the sun begins to set, you come to a frightening realization. You are trapped in Innsmouth. You rent an hotel room under a false name and resolve to hole up until morning. With the door to your room securely latched, you're finally safe from the prying eyes of the locals. Or so you think.
Okay, so it definitely looks like the locals are not particularly happy to see us. The hotel you found is a ratty hole in the wall on the back streets next to the shore of the town. Outside the hotel, the street stretches up the hill towards the centre of town. Place a site. The streets continue to the east, past a storefront. Place another site token. To the west, the street narrows into an alley that stretches along the side of the hotel. Dim light fills the tiny hotel's interior hall. The hotel only has 2 rooms for rent. Press the interior hall, door and a wall. 3 other doors lead out to the hall. One door leads to a side alley, and the other 2 are marked number 1 and number 2. You check your room key. You will be staying in room number 1. You cram into your room and find it furnished by a lone bed with threadbare sheets and a bookshelf that holds 2 yellowing tomes. Letting the situation sink in, you pace nervously around the confines of the small room. Place the investigators. Moonlight spills through a dingy window looking towards the docks. Place a search token. You manage to glance over what little research you have managed to gather on the Marsh family thus far. The investigator holding the old journal can review the gathered evidence by interacting with it in the app. Everyone in the room jumps as you hear the sound of the door handle jiggling. Someone outside is trying to open the locked door. Your eyes dart around the room, stopping only at the other door which leads to the back hall and bathroom of the hotel. Okay, so we are trapped in the town, thought we were safe in the hotel, but seems like someone has found us already and is trying to get in. Well, first I'll get Preston and we'll just actually see what the deal is with the door, see if we can tell anything about who's trying to come in. You put your ear to the door. You can hear the raspy breathing of someone on the other side trying to open the lock. Who's there? Throw open the door, barricade the door. If they're a local, they'll probably be able to get in anyway. And maybe, if we throw open the door, we can take them by surprise, maybe do some damage before they have anything to throw at us. So let's throw open the door. You put your shoulder into the door and send it flying open. Strength check. Preston has a strength of 4. We'll spend one of our clues to turn one of those partial successes to an actual for a total of 2. The door flies open, slamming into the person on the other side, and he reels back. As the figure recovers, you see from his sallow skin and large, unblinking eyes that he is one of the locals. Discard the Explore token and spawn a Deep 1 hybrid, as indicated. So we've flung open the door straight into the face of one of the locals, and he looks a bit off. The local clutches his face and you notice blood streaming down his nose and forehead. The Deep 1 hybrid suffers damage equal to your test result, so we've already dealt him 2 damage. You may move 1 space into the interior hole. Well, this guy's hostile, so gotta deal with him, I guess. In goes Preston. Let's attack him as well with Preston for his second action, and we'll attack him unarmed. As you grapple your foe, you attempt to lift it off its feet. Strength check needing 2. Preston's strength is 4, but because he has the brass knuckles, he rolls 2 additional dice, so we'll count that as a free reroll on any fails. So that's a fail, so we'll reroll that for 6. Okay, so that's 2 successes, which is a pass. If you pass, your enemy struggles as you heft it into the air and hurl it with a grunt. The monster and another monster in its space each suffer damage equal to the test result. Okay, so that will deal him another 2 damage, which would be 4 out of 8, but we don't have the clues to kill him in 1, so we'll just leave it as 2 damage. So Wendy's Poison Mist, you can attack a monster in an adjacent space, so she doesn't need to move to attack. So we'll get her to attack him with her spell. Attack him with a spell. You try to sound your way through the alien words. Lore check needing 2. Wendy Adams has a lore value of 3, needing 2. Ooh, only gets the 1. If you fail, your approximation of the words yields no effect. Flip the spell you attacked with. Spell goes 2 lives for your casting and you barely manage to control it. Each other monster in your space or adjacent suffers 1 damage. Oh, so we dealt damage anyway. And then we get rid of that and get another one. Okay, so he's not dead yet, so we're probably going to have to go into round 2. So let's attack him again with a spell. Energy cracks and snaps between your fingers as your hex begins to take shape. Lore needing 2, rolling 3 again. Fails with just 1 again. If you fail, the energy discharges into the ground. Flip the spell. Gas billows from your upraised hands and you cannot cease the spell. Suffer 1 face down horror. Then the monster suffers an additional damage and each other monster in your space or adjacent suffers 2. So it's gone beyond our control, which has given us a horror card, but it has actually dealt a face down damage to the monster, which is enough to kill him. Your attacker collapses onto the floor. As he falls, something clatters from his stubby, webbed fingers. Place the Cult Sigil unique item in the Deep 1 hybrid space. So as our slimy intruder died, he actually dropped something, a Cult Sigil, which is something we could pick up later. But that is both our actions, and we are done for this round. You are suddenly blinded by a flash of headlights, your ears filled with the blaring sound of a horn. This mythos event infects the investigator in the street. Nobody's currently in the street. Okay, so we'll get Preston to pick up that Cult Sigil. We'll definitely keep that on hand, I think. Okay, let's get Preston to step back to there, and we'll get him to open that door. The second door to your room leads to the hotel's back hall and shared bathroom. Behind your hotel room, a cramped hallway leads to the hotel's public bathroom. An end table sits in the corner of the hall. A worn door leads into the shared hotel bathroom. Opposite the bathroom is a heavy door marked Henderson's. Place an Explore token. You may move one space into the explored area. Go on then. Let's get Wendy Adams to have a look at the thing that's in the room with her already. A dingy window looks out over the docks. You struggle to see through the dense fog, but you believe you see a small fishing boat out in the bay. As long as the captain of that boat is not in league with the locals, that could be your ticket out of this town. You'll need to find a way to contact the boat. Gain a clue. And for her second action, we'll get her to step over here. 1, 2. A warm breeze brushes gently past your face. This mythos event affects the investigator in an outdoor space. Neither of us are currently outdoors. You hear the sound of approaching voices. Outside the hotel, a small mob of shambling locals is beginning to gather. They shout words of some indecipherable language at the hotel. Something tells you that they are here for you. Discard the side token to the south of the street and spawn a riot. This is the Innsmouth mob. It does not activate this round. More people from the town continue to join the ever-growing mob. Fighting so many people will prove difficult. You had better evade them. Back to us then. Yeah, let's not go outside with the raving mob. Let's get Preston to have a look in here first. I can't imagine there's much useful in a bathroom, so what's this Henderson's about? You try the door, but the store is closed and the door is locked. After a moment, you hear a voice from the other side saying, "Password?" You can check the cult sigil unique item for a password if you have it. Yeah, let's check the cult sigil. You turn the sigil over in your hand and find a word engraved on the back. Dagon. You mutter the word through the door, and a moment later you hear a click of a deadbolt. Gain a clue. The back area of the store is cluttered with boxes and crates. Place the storefront. The back area of the storage is cluttered with boxes and crates. Place the storefront tile. The figure who opened the door stands nearby and says, "Welcome." Place the person as indicated. An old radio sits behind the front counter, quietly hissing static. Place an interact token. Among the oddities, a box on display on the front counter catches your interest. Place a search token. You notice a fire extinguisher mounted on the wall behind the counter. Place the fire extinguisher common item. In a prominent glass case on the counter, in the corner, a bizarre statue is on display. Place a search token. A small but hefty shelf stands near the door. You could use it to fortify the store should the need arise. Place a barricade. Outside the store, an alley is leading off to the street and wraps around the building. Place a site token. You may move one space into the explored area. Yes. Okay, so I've just noticed that I took one more turn with Preston than I should have done last turn because I picked up the cult sigil, moved and opened the door, so I'll just have the one action for him this turn and I'll leave him there for that. So, Wendy Adams. What's the other door in the hotel like? The door to the hotel room adjacent to yours is marked number 2. The door's probably locked. Okay, so that didn't cost me an action because it's not done anything or had the symbol. So, what about the door to the alley? The hotel side door leads off to an alley right off the street. You peer down a dark alley to the west of the building. Place alley corner 2 and alley 2 tiles. You see a drunk old man slumped against a crate. Place a person token. What about there? One door leads to a building in an adjacent block. Another door leads to a room behind the hotel. The other side of the alley continues into a pier. Place a site token. You may move one space into the explored area. Ooh. Should we? Because there is a mob right there. I think, yeah, it's wasting a turn, but let's hold fire for now because I don't want to step outside and immediately get taken by the mob. So I'll just get her to stay where she is. A senseless chatter rises, filling not just the air but Preston Fairmont's mind. Preston Fairmont suffers 2 horror but will +1 negates, so he has 3, so 4 dice. 1, 2, he is fine. Oh, 3, 4. Absolutely fine. The Innsmouth mob moves 2 spaces towards the alley corner 2. So it goes 1, 2, exactly where we would have been. The mob of angry locals drags anyone that gets in their way. Each investigator who shared a space with the Innsmouth mob during the boost movement gains 1 face-down damage and is stunned and moves with them. And they have 60 health. Yeah, we're not fighting that. Bad idea. The Innsmouth mob attacks investigator in its space. There are no spaces there. The Innsmouth mob quietens for a moment, putting their misshapen heads together. Then, one of their number splits off at a jog, and the mob resumes its rambunctious patrol. Spawn a thrall in the Innsmouth mob's space. So, one of the locals has broken off from the mob to do their own thing. The thrall moves 2 spaces towards the nearest investigator. Yep, so she comes inside. and attacks Wendy Adams. The thrall promises you knowledge of how to heal your wounds and gain true strength. Law check, needing 2 to pass. Wendy Adams has 3. 1 on a partial, so we'll spend a clue to make the partial into an actual success. If you pass, you understand that the promises of knowledge come with a price and reject the offer. Each investigator must resolve a horror check. So Wendy can see the thrall, so she needs to do a horror check. The creature blinks and seems to shake off some stupor when it sees you. The thrall starts to sob and beg you for it to kill it. Suffer 2 horror, but willpower plus 1 negates. Willpower 3 becomes 4. Partial. We've got 2 clues, so let's burn one of them so we only get the 1 horror. Actually, no, let's burn them both because we're gaining horror quite quickly. So, burned all our clues, but we only have the 1 horror we already had. But there's not that many places we could go. If we run away, we won't be able to do anything, and the thrall would probably catch us anyway. So, it's probably better to stand and fight for now with the poison mist spell. So, we'll get Wendy Adams to attack the thrall with a spell. A shock runs down your arms as you form the words for the incantation. Willpower needing 3. Well, needing 2, and we have 3. A success and 2 partials, which is not enough. So, if we fail, the jolt breaks your concentration and the sensation quickly fades. Flip the spell we attacked with. The fog forms a hungry face and that hunts your enemies. Suffer 1 horror, then each other monster suffers 2 damage. Okay, so we've got ourselves another horror, but the thrall has taken 2 damage. So us failing the spell is actually what's doing the damage for the most part. I mean, we've kind of got to try again, so let's attack again with the spell. Hopefully we're successful this time. Under pressure, you struggle with the arcane knowledge, attempting to recall the appropriate words and gestures to shape the magic. Law needing 2, and I have 3. 2 partials, no clues, that's another fail. If you fail, your awkward sequence of sounds and movements amounts to nothing. Flip the spell. You cough and sputter as you lose control over the arcane magic. You and each other investigator suffers 1 face down damage. So, we've actually damaged ourselves this time. Then the monster suffers 1 additional damage and each other monster suffers 2. So, just the 1 damage on the thrall. And we've damaged ourselves, but yeah, she's kind of hurting. I think we might just try punching her next time though. We're hurting ourselves more than the monsters at this point. Okay, Preston. Do like the look of that fire extinguisher, but yeah, let's see what else is in the room at the moment. What's this woman got to say for herself? It is not often that we receive visitors from the Order. How can I help you? The Order? Question mark. Ask about the Marsh family, attack her, or just browsing. Let's see what she knows about the Marsh family. The Order in Innsmouth was founded by Obed Marsh, but you would know that if you were a true member. Gain a clue. Realising you are not a member of the Order, the woman draws a long dagger. Discard the person token and spawn a cultist. The jig is up. The woman's coming to attack us. Okay, so that was our first action. So for our second one, it's not gentlemanly, but let's beat this woman up. We'll attack her unarmed. You lunge at your foe's legs in an attempted tackle. Strength needing 2. Preston has 4, but adds 2 dice from brass knuckles. And we'll reroll 1 because of the extra dice we should have had. Okay, 2 passes and a partial. If you pass, you catch your enemy off balance and the weight of your body carries it to the ground hard. The monster suffers damage equal to your test result plus 1. Okay, that being the case then, let's burn a clue to convert that partial to an actual success. So we do 3 damage plus 1, 4. Okay, and speaking to her was our first action, so that's us done for now. The silence is suddenly broken. This mythos event affects the investigator in an outdoor space. Nobody's there. The Innsmouth mob moves 2 spaces towards the alley. 1, 2. Drag along anybody with them in their sticky hands. Each investigator who shared space moves with them and gets a damage and becomes stunned. Nobody's with them. The thrall moves 2 spaces and attacks. The creature grips your throat in one massive hand and throttles you if you are stewed chicken. Suffer 3 damage, strength +1 negates. Wendy's strength is 3, becomes 4. So, suffering 3 damage otherwise. Success, success, miss, miss. So we suffer 1 damage. Didn't say it was face down. Keep face up. If you ever have more than 2 items, drop all but 2 of your items. Mist is a spell, I wouldn't call that an item. These are, however, so we've probably got to drop one of these. Let's drop the pendant, we never intended on invading. So, all the sign pendant drops there. The cultist moves 2 spaces and attacks. The cultist gazes into your eyes and flourishes a knife. For a brief moment you feel as if your souls are linked. As the knife cuts into the cultist's flesh, you'll feel matching wounds tear open across your body. Suffer 3 face down damage, but willpower -1 negates. Preston's will is 3, so rolling 2 dice. 2 partials. Let's spend both my clues to make those successes. So we suffer 1 face down damage. The monster suffers 1 damage for each damage you suffered. So 1 damage on the cultist. Each investigator resolves a horror check. Okay, so let's do the cultist first. The cultist laughs a deep, joyous laugh. The sound echoes all around you. Willpower needing 1 to pass. Preston has 3. Needing 1. Gets the 1. If you pass, you cannot fathom what could be so funny. The creature has eyes that see too much. Willpower needing 2 to pass. Wendy Adams has 3. No, only got 1. If you fail when you imagine what things might be looking through those eyes, your heart goes cold and your muscles freeze in terror. Suffer 1 face down horror and become restrained. So we'll get the face down horror, but Wendy Adams cannot become restrained. Okay, let's try and polish up these hostiles, shall we? So we'll attack the cultist with Preston Fairmont unarmed. You unleash a flurry of quick punches, hoping enough of them will hit to make a difference. Agility needing 2. Preston's agility is 4. So we get 4, but the brass knuckles mean we roll 2 additional dice, so we get that, and basically a free roll, reroll for a fail. Reroll the fail, get 6. 1 success and a load of partials. So we needed 2 to pass, and we've got no clues to burn. If you pass, you catch your phone a number of times in the chest and stomach. We didn't. If you fail, your enemy's blocks come more quickly than you expected. Right, let's attack him again unarmed. You dance in and out of your opponent's reach with your heart in your throat, throwing jab after jab. Agility +1, so 5, but plus an additional 2 for the brass knuckles, so we get 2 free rerolls basically. Pass. Let's reroll these 2. Yeah, so 3 passes. The monster suffers damage equal to your test result, which is enough to kill it. As the store owner crumbles to the ground, the dagger falls from her hand with a clatter. Place the ritual dagger, common item. And that's both of Preston's actions to try and kill her. So, over to Wendy, trying to finish off the thrall. So, do we go unarmed or for the spell? So, I think we've kind of been doing more damage to ourselves with the spell than anything, so let's just try and attack unarmed. You are certain that if you can drive through the pain of your injuries from your mind, you will last long enough to strike back. Willpower needing 2, Wendy Adams has 3. 1 success, but that's it, so that's a fail. If you fail the distraction of the past and present injuries, draw your focus away from the task at hand. Okay, yeah, the spell's damaging us, but at least when it doesn't succeed, it does damage them as well, so let's try and go. You try to sound your way through the alien words. Lore, needing 2, we have 3. Partials, so that's a fail. If you fail, your approximation of the words yields no effect, then flip the spell. Flip the spell. The gas clings to your enemy's skin, causing it to bubble and blister. The monster suffers 1 damage. So, Wendy's not actually doing too hot with these spells, it must be said, and that's both of her actions, and the thrall's still alive. So, Mythos phase. Wendy Adams suddenly drops to her knees, clutching at her gut. Her skin bulges and distends as something moves beneath it, twisting within her innards. She just suffers 1 face down damage and horror. So, not good for Wendy. So she's halfway there to being wounded. The rioting townsfolk beat the walls of the buildings with boards and bottles. The sound of shattering glass pierces the fog and reverberates through the walls of the hotel. Darkness overtakes the alleyway as lights are smashed. Then, so place darkness in alley 2, then each investigator suffers 1 face down horror. The mob of angry locals moves out of sight, remove them from the board. The thrall moves 2 spaces to the nearest investigator and attacks. The thrall speaks in a language that does not befit its appearance, chanting in a language you have never heard before. Law needing 3 to pass, and Wendy Adams only has 3. Success and 2 partials, that's still a fail. If you fail, you become obsessed with deciphering the language, and the thrall takes advantage of your distraction to lash out. Suffer 2 face down damage and become mesmerised. So Wendy Adams is 1 point of damage away from becoming wounded, and only like 3 from having a mental break as well, so not a good start. And we've still got to resolve a horror check against that thrall. You try not to listen to the creature, but the thrall repeats 1 name incessantly. Willpower needing 2 to pass. You've got 3. Fail again. If you fail, the name Yog Soggoth becomes embedded in your conscious. Flip 2 horror face up and become mesmerised. So 1, 2. Oh god. Flip 1 damage face up and then flip the card face down. That goes back. And we get a damage face up. If you move more than a single space as part of an action, flip a damage face up. So we've got a broken leg and a broken arm. Great. And the second one, suffer 1 additional face down damage, then flip it face down. So we get another damage, which is enough for Wendy to become wounded. So the face down damage goes away, the face up stays with us, and she gets a wounded card. So we cannot perform the move action more than once each round. Problem is, Preston's too fucking far away to... Yeah, the problem is Preston's too far away to actually come in and help though. So I think Wendy's on her own here. Do or die, I think, Wendy. Let's try with the spell. As you utter the arcane words, you suddenly find yourself alone, enveloped in darkness. A disembodied voice questions you in a language you do not recognise, but instinctively understand. Law, needing 2. She has 3. 1, 2, success! Finally! If you pass, a far-off sound echoes in your mind, and as the veil of darkness lifts, you recognise it as your foe's scream. The monster suffers damage equal to the spell, plus your test result. More than enough. Thrall's dead. Away goes the thrall. So I think if we immediately moved back into that alley, we'd probably see the mob, but kind of want to see what's up with that character over there. So, and because of our broken leg, we can't move more than a single space without flipping damage. So let's just get it over with and step out there. We're now in line of sight of that token, so we reveal what it is. Waves lap against the shore as you look out beyond the building. Place the pier tile as indicated. The area is filled with the stooped, sallow-skinned locals that have been hunting you. Place the Innsmouth mob. So the mob is currently there. A number of crates and barrels are grouped together. Place a search token. A waterlogged boat rows low in the water off the pier. A snack stand sits on the pier. It has been hastily closed up. The pier ends in a sandy beach. So that was both of her actions. 1 to kill the thrall, 1 to move over there. So Preston's go. Definitely pick up the dagger. Not only do we have something that we could potentially give to Wendy to make her spells more effective, when Preston picks something up, you may flip a horror face down or discard a face down horror, so that goes away. And for his second action, let's see what it interacts about with the radio. The radio crackles with static, then you hear a voice. There's the captain of the Lively. I'm currently moored in the Bay of Innsmouth. Is anybody there? Can you pick us up? Where are you from? Can you pick us up? We want out. Craven, is that you? The captain must have been expecting someone else. You tell him your situation. I'm not sure if I want to take on unknown passengers in the middle of the night. How do I know I can trust you? Influence. Finally, something Preston excels at because he has 5. Money talks, baby. Not loud enough. 2 partials and no clues to convert. None. Sorry, I try not to make a habit of taking on random passengers from Innsmouth. Come on, the one time, the one thing you're supposed to be good at. Okay, well, that's us done. Back to Mythos. The walls seem to close in around you. This Mythos effect affects each investigator in an alley or hall. You're in a shop front, but Wendy Adams is in an alley. You cower against the wall, clutching your head and rocking back and forth. Suffer 2 horror, but willpower plus 1 negates. Wendy has a willpower 3, becomes 4. Pass, pass. So we don't suffer the horror. The mob of angry locals moves out of sight to remove them from the board. And because they're no longer in sight, we don't need to resolve a horror check. Let's get Wendy to chat with that guy over there. The old man is passed out drunk against a trash can. He has a silver key hanging from a ring on his belt. Hello? Slap him, steal the key. You've got good agility and observation, Wendy. I feel you should be able to steal this key. You attempt to slip off the key off the ring without waking him. Agility, 5. Okay, so money didn't talk, but Wendy has sleight of hand. See what we get. 1, 2. Yeah, the urchin's better at nicking than the moneymaker is at talking. 1, 2. As you try to remove the key, you slip, and the ringing of metal wakes the old man. The hell are you doing? He shoves you back. Suffer damage. Oh, so I guess we didn't get the key. God, this is just one cascade of failures, isn't it? Well, I know we tried to nick your key, mate, but could you give us? Can I have the key, please? Tried to convince the old man to let you borrow his key for a few minutes. Influence. Wendy only has 3 this time. 1. No, this is my key. You can't have it. Oh, for God's sake. Right. Preston, let's try that radio again, shall we? Right, same deal. Influence, needing... Well, he's got 5. Come on. 1, 2, 3. Better. I'm supposed to pick up Agent Craven. I will come to pick you up, but you need to find Craven and bring him with you. After a short pause, I continue speaking. I cannot see through this fog. Light a lantern on the dock where you want me to pick you up. Ring the fog bell when you're ready for me to come. Okay, so we finally made contact with the boatman. What did he say? We needed to sound the fog bell and light something on the pier, I think it was. Let's see what was in this bathroom over here. So we move there, and that's Preston done. A strange, vaporous cloud fills the air. This mythos event affects each investigator in alley corner 2. That's Wendy, again. The foul mists invade your every thought. Become dazed. Wendy can become dazed. It's restrained or stunned she can't be, so she gets dazed. You wonder where the fog came from and what it is. Lore check, needing 1. She has 3. Passes. If you're a passive, recall a story you once heard and cover your mouth until the colour leaves. I forgot as well that Wendy did have a mesmerise previously, so let's just resolve that now. Suffer face-down horror unless you drop an item. A few members of the mob begin to sing a horrid, croaking melody, and in response the sea begins to sing along. The inhuman notes echo through the alleyways and streets, insinuating themselves into the minds of all who hear it. Each investigator suffers 2 face-down horror. Oh boy. So, 1, 2 for Preston, but more importantly, 1, 2 for Wendy, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is enough for her to have a mental break. All the face-down horror goes away, which thankfully is all of it. But she now gets an insane card. You must find it. You do not know what it is, but when you see it, you will know and finally have some peace. So, Wendy does not win the game as normal. Instead, she wins only if the investigation is complete, and there are no search tokens on the board. Okay, so she's become a hoarder. Right, so since these are supposed to be done with secret things, I'll play that is Wendy Adams' one and only objective now. She will compulsively move towards every single search token and try to interact with it. Wendy's on autopilot at the moment. Let's get her to have a look at these things inside here, because I think it'd be safer in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, so she will be able to have a look at that next turn. Preston then. The old guy over there needed influence, didn't he? So let's move him over there, because Preston might be better at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Also, she moved more than once as part of a moved action because of her broken leg, so we flip the face down damage up. Only a flesh wound, no additional effect, flip it face down, same deal again. But yeah, okay, so not a bad damage one to have, I don't think. But that's Wendy there. And we moved over there to chat with him next turn. Back to Mythos. Preston Fairmont trips and falls into a shallow ditch filled with writhing worms. The ravenous grubs invade his nose, eyes and mouth. Preston Fairmont suffers 2 damage and 2 face down horror, but agility negates. He has an agility of 4. 1, 2, 3, and a fail. So I will discard the horror and suffer 1 damage. Okay, let's get Preston to speak to the guy about his key. Give us your key, mate. You tried to convince the old man to let you borrow his key. Influence. Well, we've got 5. So who do we get? 1, 2, and a partial, but we've got no clues to convert, so we just have 2. Yeah, sure, you seem nice. The man gives you a drunken smile and hands you the key. Gain the silver key unique item. Okay, so Preston's managed to procure the key for himself, and when he did pick that up, he discards a horror. Move him on up to there, so next turn we can have a poke in that door. That's not as done. Wendy needs to have a look at all these various things. So she'll have a look at the right next to her. An end table sits in the corner of the hallway. You dig through the contents of the drawers looking for anything out of place. Law, and she has 3. She gets 2. You find an odd piece of paper at the top of one of the drawers. The strange script on it seems very out of place indeed. Gain the Instill Bravery spell. So again, spell she doesn't have to discard because it's not an item. Can't spend clues or convert dice to perform additional puzzle steps at the end of the turn. Okay, yeah, well, no clues to spend anyway, so... And then she'll step into there. And that's a done, so the daze goes away. A trio of stars drifts rather than falls from the sky. The Smith has to at first each investigate to an outdoor space. Preston's outside. Orbiting one another tightly, 3 growing and crackling lights hover above you. As they spin faster and faster, flashes and streaks of multicoloured lightning lash the air. So for 1 face down damage. Okay, so let's do Wendy before we forget. She'll have a look at that question mark just there. A wooden box with sliding panels on its surface sits on a counter. You take the box with you. Perhaps if you can solve the puzzle, the box will open. Gain the puzzle box unique item. Okay, that is an item, however, so we do need to drop something. So let's drop the oil lamp. The oil lamp drops where Wendy was. No, she came into the room last turn, didn't she? So then she'll just step over there. Preston then, let's have a look at that door up there. The weather-warped door leads to a dark and apparently disused building. You try the door handle but find it locked. You think you hear something move on the other side. You put your ear to the door and hear someone breathing heavily inside. Who's there? After a short silence you hear a voice. Go away! I don't want any trouble. Can you help us? Are you Agent Craven? Let's take a punt. After another moment of silence, the door opens a crack. A man with a sunken, fearful eyes stares at you. You are not from Innsmouth. The man's eyes light up with sudden hope. Listen closely. This is Agent Craven. My name is Craven. I'm an agent with the FBI. My partner and I were sent to Innsmouth, but he was taken by the locals. He pauses, a look of despair in his eyes. I called for an extraction, but with the locals so riled up, I don't know how to contact the boat. My gun is in my hotel room, but my partner had the key when he went missing. You tell him that you've already contacted the boat, and he seems surprised. Then we should not waste any more time. He slinks out of the storage room and slips through the door on the other side of the alley. Remove Agent Craven from the board. So I think he's gone in this space here. You notice the agent did not close the door to the storage room. You wonder if anything inside could be of use. Place a search token. Okay, yep. So that was Preston's first action. So for a second one, let's move over here and see where Craven went off to. You hear a splash, and out of the dark, a gull dripping black fluid flies furiously at your face. This Mythos event affects the investigator in a beach, dock, or pier. Nobody's on those. The horde of shambling locals emerges into view. Place the Innsmouth mob as indicated. So they've looped all the way around and are coming back. Let's do Wendy first. So we'll interact with what she's next to. A bizarre statue is on display inside the glass case. Pick the lock, smash the glass. I think she'll be better at picking it. The case uses a simple lock. You pull out a pin and attempt to get it open. Observation, she has 4. Nothing. You struggle with the lock to no avail. Well, it is right there, and it's probably better than attempting to force it open, so we'll try it again. Observation of 4. Nothing. Ugh. So focused on getting the thing, she's not actually paying attention to the thing she needs to do to get it out. Okay, Preston then. Let's try and open that door there. The door leads into a small room behind the hotel. The room is without windows or lights, and you strain your eyes to see inside. You can explore only if you have a light source. Preston does not have a light source. Okay, so light source is back with Wendy. So we kind of have to. We do want to come round back that way because I think it's quite important. I mean, the app gave us a light source at the start of it, and there's a room we can investigate only if we have one. I think it's fairly important. So we'll just get him to move once, 1, 2 to there, and we'll see what's down here. The waves rustle as they break upon the beach. The beach extends across the entire back of the hotel between the two piers, its sandy monotony disrupted only by a forlorn shack. An old rowboat sits on the beach. On the beach, a shack sits just above the strand line. On the far side of the beach, you see a dock holding a boat rental building. A door off the beach leads to a small room behind the hotel. Okay, so we used one action to move to there, so we move another to move to here. 1, 2, and we can see what this is. At the end of the beach, there's a small step up to a wooden dock. The back of the building overlooks the sea. On the east side of the building, a long dock stretches out into the bay. Place the rental dock. A number of rowboats are stacked up on the dock. A small boat rental stand is on the dock, but it looks closed for the night. At the end of the dock, an unlit lantern hangs from one of the supports. On the other side of the rental dock, an alley curves round the building and out of sight. When the scream begins, you believe it to be a human being crying out in fear. By the time the last echoes die, you can only conclude it's some sort of wild beast, far closer than you would like. Each investigator suffers one face-down horror. The Innsmouth mob moves 2 spaces to Street 2. The Innsmouth mob attacks anyone next to them. Nobody's there. The Innsmouth mob quiets for a moment, putting their misshapen heads together. Then one of their number splits off at a jog and the mob resumes its rambunctious patrol. Spawn a thrall in the Innsmouth mob's space. So another thrall is coming out of the mob. The thrall moves 2 spaces to the nearest investigator and attacks. 1, 2. It's not in the room just yet. It moves 2 spaces. So instead of attacking, it moves in again. So, now we need to conduct a horror check against that thrall, because Wendy can now see it. The thrall grins at you The thrall grins at an unheard comment and turns its sightless gaze on you. Law needing 3 to pass, and Wendy only has 3. No. If you fail, the thrall's behaviour sets you on edge, jumping at every little noise. Suffer 2 horror. Yeah, we really need to get where Wendy is. If she dies, then we only get one more turn to finish it, and I'm not confident she can polish off that thrall herself after the disaster that was the first one. So let's get Preston to move 1, 2, and see what's here. An alley next to the building leads to the streets. You peer down a dark alley to the east of the building. Place the alley corner and alley 1 tiles. You notice a stack of several crates. A figure peers into the alley from behind a door leading to the adjacent block. Another door leads to a tower that stretches high above the rest of the nearby buildings. Right, let's see if we've got anything useful on the way. Let's see what's in here, explore the rest of the map. So, let's get Wendy to have a go at the thrall. And Hail Mary, attack with a spell. Press your palms together lightly and... no. You press your palms together tightly and whisper over arcane words. Lord needing 2, she has 3. Oh, damn. Succeeds hard with 3. If you pass, you pull your hands apart and a cord of crackling energy reaches out, ensnaring your foes. Suffer damage equal to the spell's damage. Just equal to the spell's damage. Which is 3. So 1, 2, 3 on the thrall, then flip the spell. The spell grows too large for your casting and you barely manage to control it. Each other monster in your space or adjacent suffers 1 damage. Okay, so the thrall only has 2 damage left. Okay, so we'll attack with the spell again. Let's see if we can polish it off. You try to sound your way through the alien words. Law, needing 2. We have 3 again. That's a fail. If you fail, the approximation of the words yields no effect. Flip the spell. Suffer 1 face down horror, then the monster suffers 1 additional damage. So, another horror for Wendy. 3 more and she has a mental break and is removed from the game. But the monster does get another point of damage. The lonely sound of a foghorn echoes off the dark building walls. This mythos effect infests each investigator. The echoes are disorientating, but maybe they'll provide cover for your activities. Observation needing 1. So, Preston has an observation of 3. Passes. Wendy has an observation of 4. Passes. If you pass, the sounds you make are completely swallowed up by the moaning of the horn. Having circled the building, the mob smashes the windows of the hotel and throws a torch inside in an attempt to smoke you out. Place the torch item as indicated. So the mob has just chucked a burning torch through the window. The fire from the torch spreads quickly and soon the hotel is ablaze. Place fire. The mob moves 2 spaces to the corner. The thrall moves 2 spaces to the investigator and attacks. The thrall lunges at you, mouth wide, agility needing 2. Wendy has 5. And passes with 3. If you pass, you dodge the incoming bites easily. We need to resolve a horror check against that thrall. The creature looks down at its rippling, malformed figure and howls in anguish. Flip 1 horror face up, and then suffer 3 face down horror, but willpower plus 1 negates. So flip a horror face up first, suffer an additional face down damage, then flip it back down. Then we suffer 3 face down horror, but willpower plus 1 negates. So she has a willpower 3, becomes 4. 1, 2, and 2 partials. So we save 2, we suffer just 1 more face down horror. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more horror, and she's eliminated. So, we're getting to the point now where the horror is getting quite much for Wendy. I don't want to attack with the spell, because even if it succeeds, we may suffer horror regardless. So, let's attack unarmed. As you grapple your foe, you attempt to lift it off its feet. Strength needing 2. So, Wendy has a strength of 3. Needing 2. Nope, no strength from the urchin. If you fail, the foe dives an elbow in your stomach to break the grab. Okay, desperate times, desperate measures. Let's attack with the spell because it's likely to kill it even if we fail. Under pressure, you struggle with your arcane knowledge, attempting to recall the appropriate words and gestures. Law needing 2, she has 3. Yeah, fails, of course. Flip the spell. Suffer 1 horror, then each other monster in your space suffers 2 damage. So the thrall's dead. Hooray! We're now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 horror away from just failing from overwhelming horror. But the thrall is gone. Yep, so getting Preston to have a look into that one. The door leads to a tower that stretches high above the rest of the nearby buildings. You can only explore if you have the silver key unique item. He does have that. Rickety wooden steps lead you up to the tower. Place the bell tower. On the shelf beside the stairs, you spot something sitting in a pile of old objects. Gain the dynamite common item. So they tend to keep their dynamite in the bell tower, apparently. At the top of the tower, an old fog bell hangs from a sturdy beam. Place an interact token. You may move 1 space in. Okay. So I think the order to summon the boat was he needed a light in order to see where the hell he was going, then ring the fog bell when we're ready. I don't think we need to ring that fog bell yet, you know, so I won't actually step in there. Instead, we need that old lamp. I'm going to move this way. 1, 2. The fire spreads out of control. Place fire in an adjacent space. The cobblestones underfoot are rounded and uneven from time's passage, or perhaps malicious assemblage. This mythos event affects the investigator in an alley or street. Preston's in an alley. You stumble over an errant stone, agility needing 2. He has 4. No clues to burn, so that's a fail. If you fail, you topple forward and crack your head on the street, suffer 2 damage and become stunned. Great. You can't perform more than a single action during your turn. With one voice, the mob cries out in a language you don't understand. In response, a repulsive creature emerges from the water. Spawn a deep one. Someone in the mob seems to realise your plans to use a boat to escape. The crowd begins heading to the docks to stop you once and for all. One of the locals breaks away from the mast to circle the building in the opposite direction. Spawn a child of Dagon. The Innsmouth mob moves 2 spaces to alley 2. 1, 2. Nobody's there. The deep one moves 2 spaces towards the nearest investigator. I guess this way. 1, 2. The child of Dagon moves 2 spaces. 1, 2. Child of Dagon moves 2 spaces. Closest one is there. Well, Wendy's done. Each investigator must roll a horror check. So, resolve 1 against the child of Dagon. The child of Dagon's throat bulges and inflates in a sudden croaking belch. Suffer 2 face down horror. Willpower negates. She has a will of 3. Meaning 2 passes. Passes 1, 2, 3. She's fine. Well, Preston's stunned, so he can only perform a single action, so I guess we go 1, 2. But he can't actually attack, so we're going to have to get Wendy to take some swipes. Yeah, we're majorly high on horror at the moment for Wendy, so we can't risk doing the spell, so we just have to attack him unarmed. You challenge your enemy to fisticuffs. Your foe pauses, sizing you up. Influence, needing 3 to pass. Are you intimidated by the small street urchin? You are very intimidated! If you pass, you take advantage of the momentary confusion and deliver a powerful swing to the head. The monster suffers damage equal to the test result, 2 damage. It has health of 12 though. Let's attack again. Unarmed. Your enemy's attacks are quick and relentless. You focus on evading the strikes and search for an opening to begin your counterattack. Observation, needing 2. Wendy has 4. 1, 2. That's a success. If you pass, you strike whilst your foe is off balance and it stumbles and collapses under the weight of your blows. Suffers 2 damage. Yeah, it turns out the spell was the wrong way to go the entire time. The urchin's good with her fists, but that's us done. The fire spreads out of control. From every corner of the air comes a horrible pounding sound. This mythos event affects each investigator in outdoor space. Yeah, that's Preston. The ghostly drum beat forces your heart to stutter and your feet to move uncontrollably. Suffer 2 horror, but willpower plus 1 negates. He gets 4. Nothing, because we've got no clues to burn. Suffer 2 horror, then flip 1 horror face up. 1, 2, and we'll flip 1 up. Oh, claustrophobia. Whenever you end your turn within range of 2 or fewer spaces, suffer 1 face down. Okay. So, we need to keep him with more than 2 places he could go, basically. And we'll keep that face up. The Innsmouth mob moves 2 spaces towards the pier. The deep one moves 2 spaces towards the nearest investigator. The child of Dagon attacks. Goes after the person with the highest strength, which is Preston. Child of Dagon swings what you think is an old lobster trap at you, shattering the thing across your back and shoulders. Suffer 3 damage, but strength negates. He has a strength of 4. Yep, no lobster pot is getting Preston down. Must resolve a horror check against the monster. So, only Preston can see it now that it's outside with him. Everywhere the child of Dagon steps, damp and salty footprints are left behind. You see seaweed caught under your foe's clothes and barnacles stuck to cold, clammy flesh. Suffer 2 horror. Willpower negates. He's got a willpower 3. 1, 2 passes. He's fine. Okay, he's outside now, so let's... but the mob's going for the jetty. We might not have enough time. Okay, I think we're going to have to evade, grab the lamp, and get out of dodge. So let's try and evade the child of Dagon with Preston. The child of Dagon swings at you with a tangle of fishing lines, and several hooks catch on your skin and clothing. Suffer 2 damage unless you forfeit your action. I'm not wounded yet, but that would leave me 1 damage before I am, but I think we're going to have to. It's desperate times. We'll suffer 2 damage. Total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 1 more and he becomes wounded, but we still get to move away. And then we'll pick up the oil lamp, and because we pick something up, we get to let's flip this one face down so we don't have to worry about the claustrophobia anymore. Because that's his special ability when he picks something up. Okay, and that was 1, 2 for Preston, so we'll move him again. Have to go back outside, don't we? 1, 2. That's him done. Wendy, she's still nuts, so she's going to go back to picking at that lock. Getting quite desperate, so she'll smash the glass. You smash your elbow through the glass. The sharp edges slice open your arm, suffer 1 face down damage. You take the statue from the case. A tag hangs from the back of it. For sale by the Marsh family. Please inquire for price. Gain the grotesque stone unique item. And since Wendy still has her broken arm, we need to disregard something, so we'll drop the puzzle box where she is. I think she gained a clue from that as well. Okay, so that's action 1. That goes away, so then we'll get her to go after the next nearest thing. But she's entered the space with the monster, so she'll have to do an evade check, I think. As you dash away, the Child of Dagon launches 2 quick punches at your kidneys, suffer 2 face down damage, but agility -1 negates. -1 of her agility is 4. Pass, she's fine. So she ends up there, next to those old crates. You are weary to the bone and your strength is now ebbing. Each investigator flips 2 damage face up. Wendy flips 1. Old injuries flip another damage face up, then discard this card, so that's actually quite good. But then we flip both of these up. Okay. Minor injury, no additional effect. Flip it face down. Back spasm. Pain flares up and down your back and suddenly you cannot stand up straight. Resolve immediately. Drop a random item. Okay. So, textbook or stone. Randomise. We drop the medical textbook. So she keeps the grotesque stone. And Preston needs to do the same. 2 damage face up. Only a flesh wound. Flip it back face down. Only a flesh wound, flip it back down. Nice. The Innsmouth mob moves 2 spaces towards the beach. 1, 2. The deep one moves 2 spaces to the nearest investigator. 1, 2. The Child of Dagon moves towards the nearest investigator. It attacks who has suffered the most damage, which is currently Preston. Grappling with the Child of Dagon seems to have aggravated an old wound. Flip 2 damage face up, then the maniac actually leans forward and bites you. Suffer 3 face down damage, strength -1 negates. Flipping 2 damage face up. Lasting injury, keep it face up, no effect. Minor injury, flip it face down. Then we suffer 3 face down damage, but strength -1 negates, so he has 4, which becomes 3. Only passes 1. Suffers 2 additional, which takes him over. So Preston Fairmont is now wounded as well. Face down damage goes away, and we get a wounded card. Okay. So Preston cannot perform a move action more than once each round. Each investigator must resolve a horror check. 1, 2, 3. So the deep one's too far away to need a horror check, but we can both see the Child of Dagon. The Child of Dagon's throat swells to a disgusting size before letting loose a horrific screech. The noise rattles your teeth and twists your stomach. Suffer 2 horror, but willpower +1 negates. So Wendy Adams +1 is 4. Oh, she fails. That additional horror would take her over the edge. So, not only has she gone insane, she has had a psychotic break. Wendy Adams' mind cracks in 2 based upon the sheer weight of the horror she has seen and is eliminated from the game. So we only would get 1 turn basically to finish the investigation, and there is legitimately no way that is happening. So I'm afraid that is game over. Our investigation ends in failure.
Realizing you intend to escape, the mob descends on the docks. They tear planks from the wharf and set fire to the boats. With your only escape cut off by the crowd, you flee inland, running through the claustrophobic streets. Suddenly, you're confronted by a large group of shambling locals who descend upon you. Countless slimy hands pin you down and bind your limbs. Once secured, you're dragged through the streets towards your gruesome fate. All the while, the locals stare after you with large, unblinking eyes.
Okay, so the investigation ended in failure. We were dragged off by the locals and presumably killed not long after. Oh boy, that is a tough scenario. I'm not convinced it's effectively balanced for just two characters, but well, we gave it our best shot. Fumbled a lot of rolls early on. That did not help us whatsoever, but we were swiftly running out of time with that one regardless. But that's sometimes the experience you get when you play Mansions of Madness. Thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in another one.